Back in 2015, there was a small company named Dodge that decided to throw their hat in the ring when it came to overpowered performance vehicles. And that hat was the 2015 Hellcat. With 707 horsepower, everybody loved it. It was fun, it was ridiculous, and it was enough to go ahead and push Dodge to outdo themselves just 3 years later with the Dodge Demon in 2018, putting out 101 horsepower more at 808 horsepower. Now, this was not going to go unnoticed by the other car companies, but no one answered Dodge as much as Hennessey did. Hennessey Performance was already tuning the Camaro ZL1 to make a whopping 850 horsepower. But to answer the Dodge, they decided to go ahead and turn that thing up to 1,000 horsepower and call Dodge directly out by naming it the Exorcist. Now, Dodge would allow this to go unchallenged for quite some time. For 5 years, nothing that Dodge made would touch it in horsepower, but that has changed. In fact, Dodge might have the last laugh when it comes to their last call, the Dodge Demon 170. And that's where we're going to be pitting against the Hennessey Exorcist. This is pay performance. Let's get into it. As always, when it comes to pay performance, we're going to start off with the fantastic engines in both of these vehicles. Now, both of these have the exact same displacement and configuration at 6.2 liters with a supercharger on there. In fact, the Dodge Demon has a full 3-liter displacement supercharger. I just replaced a 1.4 liter engine inside a Chevy Cruze. That isn't even half the size of the supercharger alone on this engine. That's ridiculous. And this ridiculous engine makes a whopping 1,025 horsepower. Now, we know the Exorcist already makes 1,000 horsepower, but how were they able to go ahead and do that with an engine that was originally rated at 655 horsepower? Well, they went ahead and changed a good amount of the internals. Not all the internals, so they kept a good amount that were stock, but some things like the intake and exhaust valves, as well as the push rods, went ahead and changed, and they did a high flow supercharger on top. Now, those are just a few of the items. You can find more of the items actually on the Hennessey website, which is very interesting. Now, obviously, the Dodge Demon takes it when it comes to the horsepower, but does not take it when it comes to torque, which is kind of surprising. 945 foot-pounds of torque for the Dodge Demon versus the Exorcist, which is 966 foot-pounds. The Exorcist also takes it when it comes to the weight, which is no surprise. Even though the Dodge Demon is made for the drag strip and you want to lose as much weight as possible to get off the line and to go as fast as possible down the drag strip, the Dodge is still a beefy girl. She has a lot of weight to her, and that weight comes out to be 4,280 pounds with the non-carbon fiber wheels and 4,268 pounds with them. So it's not that much of a difference, but it's something. This is compared to the weight of the Camaro, which is 3,950 pounds. When it comes to peak horsepower, both of these are exactly the same at 6,500 RPM. The Dodge, though, does take it when it comes to the peak torque at 4,200 RPM versus the Exorcist, which is 4,500 RPM. Now, I sped through all that because you guys don't really care about that. You want to hear about the 0 to 60 and the quarter mile time, of course. And I'm going to give you the 0 to 60. In fact, the Dodge Demon, imagine my shock, is the fastest 0 to 60 time that I've ever seen. Now, I've done a lot of research on cars, even though I haven't put out that many videos. This 0 to 60 time blows it away at 1.66 seconds. 1.66 seconds, 0 to 60 from a production vehicle. That is insane. This is compared to the 2.1 seconds, which is still amazing from the Exorcist. Now, before I get to the quarter mile time, I did want to touch on to the power to weight ratio, because if you're paying attention, 1,000 horsepower with less weight with 1,025 horsepower with more weight. The Dodge is at a disadvantage when it comes to the power to weight ratio. It's at 2.4 horsepower per 10 pounds. This is compared to the 2.5 horsepower per 10 pounds for the Exorcist. Now, you would think that this would mean that the Exorcist would be faster than the Dodge, but I think this is a great example of building something with something specific in mind. The Dodge Demon, it's a drag car. There's nothing else that it does. It's a drag car. I don't care if you say, well, I can take it on the circuit. Sure you can. It's a drag car. The Camaro ZL1 isn't. Now the Camaro, they did change a lot of the components, but they didn't change things like the differential in the back as well as the transmission. And those aren't set up for 1,000 horsepower. There is going to be a loss. Whether it is a loss in traction or a loss in the gearing as well, it can't do as well as something that is specifically made for one purpose, like the Dodge Demon. And this is a perfect case. Now, without further ado, let's get into the quarter mile times to see exactly what I'm talking about. The Dodge Demon does it in 8.91 seconds. And at the end of the quarter mile, it is going a whopping 151 miles per hour. 151 miles per hour, 8.91 seconds. That's insane. This is compared to the Exorcist, which does a very good job, but only at 9.57. The fact that I'm saying only 9.57 is very ironic. It's insane that it does it this quickly. And at the end of the quarter mile, it is going 147 miles per hour. It's not that far behind, but you can see a huge difference, more than a half of a second difference, and at the advantage of the Dodge Demon. This leads us into the price. Now, I was talking about the Dodge Demon being purposely built for the drag strip, and that is true. And the interesting thing is, the ZL1 has to be a donor car. So you're not just dealing with the price of the Hennessey treatment, but you're also dealing with the price of the donor car. And honestly, I don't know if they would take a used donor car versus a new donor car. And if it was used, how many miles are they willing to do? Because it does come with a warranty. Or does it have to be a brand spanking new ZL1? That plays a huge factor in the price, but the price in general is ridiculously expensive. It's $120,000+. The last one I saw was either 120 and the other one was 160,000. A huge price tag, but you do get an awesome name and a very unique, rare piece. But is it really worth it? We only are getting 3,000 units of the Dodge Demon in America, and it only costs $96,666. I see what you did there, Dodge. Well done. That is a low price when it comes to how much performance you can actually get. The amount of horsepower, the 0 to 60 time, and the quarter mile time is honestly breathtaking. It's amazing that Dodge went out on such a great high, and I really do appreciate them doing that. I know that sounds silly. It's a huge company, but still, what a way to send out a great vehicle. So which one would I personally take? Well, I think it's obvious without any questions. The Dodge Demon itself does an acceleration that puts 2 G's on you. I'm going with the Dodge Demon. It's not even a question. I love the ZL1. I think it's a fantastic vehicle, but I also think it's great at a lower horsepower. I don't really see the frame and the chassis of the ZL1 really benefiting from more horsepower than 655 horsepower. It's supposed to be a track car. It's not supposed to be a drag car. So I just don't really see the need for having the Exorcist, even though it was a great reply when it came to the Dodge Demon. It looks fantastic. It's extremely fast, and it's one of a kind, really. You're not going to find that many out there, but you're also not going to find that many of the Dodge Demon either. So let me know in the comment section which one you guys would have. I'd love to hear which one you would have and the reason why. It's really interesting. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate it. If you like these type of videos, go ahead and give this video a like. I do have some more Crash Course Mechanics coming out. I had a really busy engine swap when it came to one that you haven't seen just yet, 2014 Chevy Cruze, and I'll be editing that as soon as possible. It's been a blast going ahead and doing that, and I'm about to pick up another project, which is actually a 2002 Ram 1500, which won't start. So wish me luck when it comes to that. Also, we are going to be doing Making Beaters Better in the future. I just have to get the garage set up. And I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me saying that, but I'm going to keep saying it until it happens, because guess what? It's going to happen. And I've actually found a nice place I think I can start off in. It's not going to be permanent, but it's going to be something I can at least get started on working on my truck, so you guys can see that. I guess it's telling me to get off my butt. So that's it for me. As always, remember, respect the speed, enjoy the journey, and love those around you. I'll see you guys next time.